concern that is pushing me a certain way is this allegation that you say is an allegation that he's a gang member. Court is calling 2023 CR 4941, State of Texas versus Anthony Tyrone Jack Woodard. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Myers, Your Honor.
For the defense?
John Kuntz for Mr. Woodard.
And are you Mr. Woodard?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
All right, we're here for sentencing. You entered a plea of guilty on February 12th. According to your plea bargain agreement, the state is silent on your application. And of course, they say that if you did not appear, you would be subject to the full range of punishment. So you're here, so that's a good thing. And also, you're going open to the court in the sense with regards to punishment.
That's right, Judge.
All right. Have both parties had a chance to review the PSI report and the TAP evaluation?
State has, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections?
No objection.
All right. The state is silent. You say you have a witness?
I do, Judge. I'd call his girlfriend Tamisha first.
All right.
Mr.
Wife,
Woodard,
I'm sorry.
stand on the side.
Mr. Kuntz, don't downgrade people's position and people's lives.
I always like to lift people up.
Good morning. Could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yeah.
All right, you can lower your hand. Just make sure you keep your voice up so the court reporter can hear. All right, and on this side, if you are going to talk, ask the deputy just move you down to the other end. If you'll state your name for the record.
Tamisha Jackson,
All right,
Tamisha, who are you to Anthony?
his girlfriend.
And what do you do for a living?
I work at Waste Connections for the city.
How long have you,
Waste Connections,
for the city of San Antonio?
yes,
okay.
And how long have you been there?
4.5 years,
What sort of hours do you work?
from 7 to 7:30,
So you work
7
about,
a.m. to 7 p.m.
so 12-hour shifts?
Yes,
How many days a week?
Monday through Friday,
Do you have children?
1,
How old is your child?
13,
And does she stay with you?
yes,
Does Anthony have children?
yes,
How many children does Anthony have?
3.
And what are their ages?
One just turned 6 on Monday, one will be 5 next month, and one just turned 5 in March.
What kind of father is Anthony to those children?
A active father. He's proactive with any activities going on with school, outside of school. There is a routine from Thursday to Sunday with the parents of the other children that he get them every other weekend. But with my daughter specifically, he's full active. Be honest with you, I'm not on none of her paperwork. He does all the activities, parent conference, because I can't honestly do it because I'm at work majority of the time. So that's pretty much it.
So he's a good dad
Yes,
and he helps you out a lot.
yes,
Now, we obviously are asking the judge for a huge favor today, which is to give him a chance on probation, right?
correct.
And you know Anthony's history, don't you?
Yes.
He's been to prison before
Correct.
and he's struggled with some things, hasn't he?
Correct.
What, do you think Anthony can make it on probation?
I do. As far as with the classes, I believe he was on probation before and he finished all the classes. I think he was reporting like every week or once a month, to be honest with you. I'm not for sure how his rotation was, but I know he was pretty active with reporting.
Are you aware of Anthony's childhood and background
Yes,
and the trauma that he suffered as a child?
yes,
Both of his parents were addicts.
yes,
His mother was a prostitute.
yes, and passed away while he was incarcerated. Yes,
And he was raised by a grandma.
yes,
But even to this day, would it be fair to say that Anthony suffers from depression and maybe some other issues?
correct. In childhood, yes.
And do you think he needs psychological counseling? Do you think he needs drug rehab or classes or something like that?
Yes, like childhood trauma, yes.
All right.
Mhm.
And I know you're not, thankfully, you're not versed in the drug world,
Yes, I'm
right?
not, because I'm not the right terminology.
So, but you do feel like Anthony struggles maybe with substances at times.
Correct, yes.
And do you think that him getting counseling or treatment would be a good thing?
Yes.
But realistically, it probably stems from the depression and the childhood trauma.
Yes,
Okay, so he probably needs counseling to start with that and move forward, right?
correct, yes.
If he's able to get probation, Do you think he'll follow the rules?
Yes,
Is he a rule follower?
yes. I have rules, so he has to follow my rules.
And is there anything else you'd like to tell the judge? Obviously, you're with Anthony, he's helping you raise your own child
Right.
and you care for him a lot, don't you? Okay.
Yes,
And you want her to give him a chance?
yes.
Okay. I have no further questions. The prosecutor may ask you a couple of questions, but that's okay.
All right, any questions?
Briefly, Your Honor. You were aware that Anthony was on parole at the time of his arrest, correct?
Oh, which,
I'm sorry,
which case?
on the case we're here for today.
No, I don't think he was on, I don't believe so. I don't believe so. Is he?
Okay. And you were aware that there's 4.1 grams of cocaine found in the house?
I actually was at work, so I didn't get the call until in the process of it happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you aware that there were several firearms found in the house?
There was not several. One weapon was actually a BB gun that was actually mine. And the other weapon, I don't believe anything about another weapon. And when I talked to the officer, he actually gave me a written of
Yeah,
everything.
Dan, I'm gonna stop you there.
Okay.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay.
All right, any other
No,
questions?
Judge, thank you.
Thank you so much for coming down.
The judge will call my client as a witness.
All right, can you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth? So help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Anthony Woodard.
All right, defense.
Thank you, Judge. Anthony, you heard Tamisha talk and you heard what I was saying. I want to talk to the judge a little bit about your background and your childhood. And I know you struggle to talk about this. You don't like talking about this, do you? And in fact, I didn't learn some of the stuff about you until very recently. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
You kind of hold it in, don't you?
Yes, sir.
But unfortunately, both of your parents were drug addicts. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And you were raised by a grandma because they couldn't take care of you.
Yes, sir.
Were they living on the streets?
Yes, sir.
And you heard me mention also that unfortunately your mom was a prostitute. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And was she in the same neighborhood you were at?
Yes, sir.
Was- So you've seen her do what?
Oh, I understand.
Okay. So you unfortunately as a child were exposed to her business, right?
Yes.
And look, we have to, the judge knows, and you're very honest about things. You started getting in trouble when you were in high school, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
And probably some anger issues and sadness and depression things, right?
Yes, sir. That was one.
Now, you've unfortunately found yourself in prison a couple of times and things like that, and you're back in the court system. Are you happy to be back in the court system?
Yes, sir. I have you.
Is this something that you like doing, every few years coming to court?
Yes, sir.
And now that you have your children, is this really hard on you?
Yes, sir. It takes a real toll on me.
Is this something that you ever want to do again?
Yes, sir.
Do you ever want to be back in front of a judge?
Yes, sir.
And how many times have you come to court and watched Judge Boyd? A bunch?
A bunch of times.
And you know that she can be very tough on people, but she can also be very thoughtful and kind in what she's doing, right?
Yes, sir.
And you've commented on it sometimes and just she's been so good to people that you've seen right in front of her, right?
Yes, sir.
You're asking for mercy from her, aren't you?
Mercy.
And you can understand why a prosecutor or maybe some judges might not think that you're deserving of any mercy. Did you understand that?
I understand that.
Do you promise that you're going to change your ways and do a better job?
Promise I'm going to do a better job.
If you took a drug test today, would you be clean or dirty?
I'll be dirty.
For what?
I-
But clean for marijuana,
Oh, yes, sir.
clean for cocaine,
Yes, sir.
but do you feel like you could use some counseling?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that counseling for your depression? Yes,
Yes, sir.
counseling for alcohol or drug use?
Yes, sir.
Are you willing to do that counseling?
I'm willing to do it.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
You just don't want to go back to prison, do you?
No, sir.
You've been to prison
Yes, sir.
and you don't like it, do you?
No, sir.
And I want to address one thing. Anthony, when you've been in prison, have you been categorized as a gang member?
No, sir.
So when probation says that they have you as a blood and all this sort of stuff, you actually wear blue to court a lot of times, don't you?
In black, yes, sir.
And so you're not affiliated with any gang right now, are you?
No, sir.
And you
I
haven't
never was,
been?
labeled in prison or none of that. That's why
Oh.
I don't know where it come from.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to tell the judge?
Yes, sir. I would ask, if you can give me a second chance to prove to you that I can be successful on probation for my family and myself, and give me any help, and I'm willing to take it and show the board that I can be successful.
Any questions?
Mr. Woodard, the time you were arrested, you were on parole for a drug case, correct?
Yes, sir.
And parole's kind of like probation, wouldn't you agree?
Yes, sir.
You got rules you have to follow. If you don't, you may or may not go to prison.
Yes, sir.
And you were high the day you were arrested, correct?
Was I high?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you admitted to smoking marijuana. Is that a violation of your parole?
I had completed parole.
Well, would you be surprised that it says that you weren't going to be discharged until May 27th, 2023, and that you were arrested on March
Oh, yeah,
28th,
yeah.
2023?
Yes, sir. I had one. You're right. Yes, sir.
Okay, so-
Correct. Correct.
Smoking marijuana would have been a violation, correct?
Correct.
And being around any sort of narcotics would have been a violation, correct?
Correct.
And being around guns would have been a violation of your parole, correct?
Correct, sir.
And you've been on bond for this case, correct?
Yes, sir.
And would you say that bond's kind of like a version of probation as well? You have certain rules you have to follow?
Yes, sir.
And drinking alcohol, that's a violation of your bond, wouldn't you agree? You're allowed to drink alcohol while you're on bond? For a drug case?
Yes, sir. I don't think that's a violation of my being on bond, sir.
Okay. How many AA meetings have you been to in the last month?
I haven't been to one since about 6 days.
You have several children, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you've been, at the time that this report was written, you've been unemployed for 11 months, correct?
Yes, sir.
Where are you working now?
I struggle with getting a job right now due to the situation. So I just help out at the nonprofit Safe House for the community.
Okay. Did you bring any sort of documentation from that?
I actually do have something I was going to present to the court.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Anthony, let's talk about that real fast. It's Big Mama's Safe House.
Yes, sir.
And what is that?
It's a non-profit community, stop the violence with drugs and put the weapons down and talk. It's like a non-profit.
And so you, as someone who's been through that fire, basically,
Yes, sir.
are you helping the younger people try to learn from your mistakes?
Well, yeah, we go to communities and talk to like in the neighborhoods on east side, west side, talk to the children about the violence and the drugs, to like go a different route about it. Which is the change that I'm making for myself that I want to see. I don't want to see people go down the same path I went down. I'm in a prison
Okay.
twice.
All right. So let me stop everybody. If we can go off the record briefly. Let me just tell you what my concern is. My concern is I'm looking at his criminal history. My other concern that is pushing me a certain way is this allegation that you say is an allegation that he's a gang member. So we can have him sit in the box and you all can discuss about that gang tag that's on the report. Then y'all can come back and approach me with information on that. And then I'll have a ruling on that.
I actually, just to let you know, I spoke to the prosecutor before we came up here and he doesn't know necessarily why he has tagged as a blood right now.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's have him sit in the box. I think you guys have investigators upstairs who can go on the computer and call, and let's see if that's a mistake that's been made by probation or if it's something else. All right?
Okay.
All right, so
Yes, sir.
he's gonna have a seat in the
Thank you.
box. You're welcome. Court is calling 2024 CR 1655, State of Texas versus Gabriel Longoria. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Hank Wilkins for the state.
Defense?
James Seelaw for the defendant. I was appointed in September of 2022.
All right, and are you Gabriel Longoria? Counsel, have you received all the discovery? Did you review it with your client?
Yes, I have.
Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Mr. Longoria, did you review the document entitled True Bill of Indictment with your attorney? Did you understand it? Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
Yes, I do.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented?
We are.
Mr. Longoria, did you review the document entitled Court Admonishments and Defendants Waivers and Affidavit of Admonitions with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places? Did you understand you're charged with driving while intoxicated third or more? That's a third-degree felony. Range of punishment is anywhere from 2 to 10 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine. Did you understand? If you have a plea bargain agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea. If for any reason the court does not follow your plea and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand? Did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call and the right to remain silent? Did you understand by entering this plea, you were giving up those rights? Did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea in this case? Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
Yes, he has.
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
I believe he does.
Do you believe he's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
Yes, he was.
Mr. Longoria, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter the plea? Anyone promised you anything other than the plea? Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented? Are you a U.S. citizen? Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial. Did you review the plea bargain page with your attorney? Did you understand it? According to the plea, punishment is to be assessed at 5 years in the prison. There's a $5,000 fine to be probated. State recommends community supervision. There's the DWI intervention course, VIP panel, 2-year driver license suspension, and ignition interlock for half the term. Did you understand that to be the plea? Defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
State?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you review the waiver of appeal paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in both places? Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand? Counsel, have there been any such motions?
No, there hasn't. I would like to speak before sentencing, if for a
Yes.
brief moment.
All right, outside the agreement, the state is asking that your community supervision be for a term of 5 years. There be a TAP evaluation and 250 hours of community service restitution. Did you understand those were recommendations from the state and the court does not have to follow those recommendations? Then to the offenses charged, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Guilty.
State any evidence.
Your Honor, I offer State's Exhibit 1 in the attachments.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, you may continue to confer, state. Mr. Longoria, did you review the document entitled Waiver and Consent to Stipulation of Testimony and Stipulations with your attorney? Did you understand it? And did you sign it in all the appropriate places? Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call and the right to remain silent? Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports, but most importantly, there will be no live testimony? Did you understand? Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence State's Exhibits 1 and attachments and review the same. After reviewing State's Exhibits 1 and attachments, the court will find there's sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and the court will find you guilty. Are you proceeding with sentencing?
Yes, Your Honor. We
Anything
waive PSI.
Anything you wish to say on behalf of your client?
Your Honor, I was appointed on this case in September 2022. We've been in contact with each other. He has not had any alcohol since his arrest. He's been in house arrest. I've tried to file motions to lift certain things over the last 2 years, and we never had a hearing on it, but he has no violation whatsoever on pretrial. He was under house arrest and has not drank anything. So I asked the court to take that into consideration in assessing, we probated the fine, but keep that in mind as far as interlocked for 18 months or whatever it has to be. But he's been, I think he's going to be a good probationer. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Do you have any children?
No, Your Honor.
Who do you live with?
Currently my mother.
Okay. All right, the court is going to sentence you to 5 years in the prison, suspended and probated for 5 years. There's a $5,000 fine to be probated. There's going to be the DWI intervention course, victim impact panel live, 2 years driver's license suspension, ignition interlock for half the term, proof of employment within 30 days. There's to be no employment as a home health care provider or with minors. I'm going to order 250 hours of community service restitution. And I'm going to order 120 sober meetings in 120 days. Once those are completed, the court will deem the community service hours satisfied. There's to be regular reporting by Zoom or in person. There's to be random UAs, a TAP evaluation out of custody. And if TAP evaluation recommends inpatient treatment, we'll start with intensive outpatient treatment. If they recommend no treatment, then we'll start with supported treatment. There's going to be field visits one time per month for 60 days, and then at probation's discretion. And I'll do a referral to felony drug court. There's to be 10 days in the Bexar County Jail. Would you like to address that? It's statutory.
How much time have you spent prior to getting released in this case?
That's fine.
When you were arrested?
I was in there 3 days.
3 days? I like
All
the
right.
days that-
So this is what I'll do. I'll do 30 more days on GPS.
Okay,
And then that will be for partial. You'll be allowed to seek employment.
Your Honor, he works for the VA at home. And you have that job now?
Correct.
And you've had it for the last 3 years. Now, I don't know if that's a home health care issue. Is that home health care?
I'm a clerk with the VA.
All right, so that's fine if he's the
Okay.
clerk. I just don't allow them
I just wanted to let
to be in employment where they're taking care of patients or anything of that nature. All right, since that's at home, here's what I can do. I can give you 30 days partial GPS, or I can give you 15 days of GPS and it's full.
The full 15 days.
All right, so in lieu of the 10 days at the Bexar County Jail as a condition, the court will order GPS full for 15 days.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, is there anything else with regards to sentencing?
And you're gonna lick this for good.
Yes,
How old are you?
45.
All right,
It's
is
about
there
time.
anything else you would need from the court?
No.
Probation, is there anything else he needs? Did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, we can go off the record. This is your third DWI. That's why you're in felony courts. You're one of those people who cannot drink alcohol at all. And when you drive and you're intoxicated, you could end up killing somebody. Usually the person who's driving intoxicated, they're just fine. So don't be in somebody's court crying in tears because you killed somebody. You understand? All right, good luck to you, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. for
You're
your
welcome.
introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Seeloff. All right, court is calling 2022 CR 11444, State of Texas versus Jonathan Bolden. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Zach Dunn for the state,
Defense?
Brandon Lopez for Mr. Bolden.
All right, we were here on May 20th. The defendant pled true to violation of condition number 4. The court found violation of condition number 4 true. The state waived other allegations, and I asked that it be recalled for today. And the reason why it's being recalled for today was an issue about his homelessness. Am I correct?
Correct.
All right.
And I believe the bus passage.
And the bus pass issue. So I asked that his officer appear so that we can figure out what's going on. Mr. Rangel, could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, could you lower your hand and state your name for the record?
My name is Orlando Rangel, Rangel.
All right, any objection to the witness appearing by Zoom, state, defense?
No objection. No objection.
All right, Mr. Rangel, so that we can move things along. The issue with Mr. Bolden testified that there was an issue with him receiving a bus pass and that he's homeless, and that's the reason why he's not appearing. Do you have any information on any of that?
I do have some information on it, Your Honor. Hear about it if you'd like to hear. So he
Yes,
was
please.
initially given a
Yes.
bus pass. Sorry, he was initially given a bus pass July 12th of 2023 by a duty officer. He reported without an appointment, and I was not there, which is why he met with her. At that time, it was a new program. They were still trying to figure it out. He came back. Mr. Bolden came back July 20th, and I met with him. He did again inquired about the bus pass stuff. Even though he already gotten one, I told him I did not know enough information about the program and that I was going to find out for him and then get back to him. After that, in August, I met with him and I did tell him I found out what I needed. I gave him information. I gave him a form to fill out to bring back to me so that I could submit it to the program analysis for his bus pass. When he met again with me in October, he didn't bring it back to me. I didn't have it, so I couldn't submit anything.
All right. Thank you so much. Any other questions?
If you don't mind,
Yes.
Officer Rangel, did my client inquire after those dates about a bus pass when he would meet with you?
So he did inquire about a bus pass when he would report, but it wasn't me. 2 times he was seen by the duty officer because he reported without a scheduled appointment. One time I was at lunch, and the other time I believe I was in juvenile court at a transfer hearing.
And officer, were you aware that my client was homeless during this time period?
Yes, sir.
No further questions.
All right. Anything else?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you so much, Officer Rangel, for zooming in. I appreciate your time. And you are
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
excused. Sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. State, what are you requesting?
If I'm not mistaken, at the last setting, the state had requested the minimum of 2 years, and I'll honor that previous prosecutor's request here.
Well, after hearing the testimony, are you still requesting revocation?
I think they provided good context, so even with that, I mean, we defer to the court, of course, and I think given the confusion, it might lend itself to an opportunity wherein that 2 years is not appropriate, Judge. So we'll go ahead. I'm conflicted because I want to honor the previous prosecutor. As counsel told me, that was the discussion they had, but I think given the new context.
All right. In probation?
Judge, it is quite concerning that Mr. Bolden reports when he wants to report. Bus pass, no bus pass, I understand that issue. I just wanted to make the court aware that that's just not how reporting works. Or make Mr. Bolden aware that's not how reporting works, as the court is well aware.
Yes.
And Your Honor, from the defense, we understand these are issues that need to be corrected. My client does have a long track record prior to picking up these cases. I think of 15 years of reporting without issue. Homelessness seems to be the direct event that's caused his reporting to be an issue. He reports to me that he's trying to get some life together, insurance, and stop being homeless. We'd asked the court for an opportunity, giving him credit for the 15 years he did report without issues, and an opportunity moving forward to correct his issues with homelessness and reporting.
All right, Mr. Bolden, here's the court's issue or the problem. The nature of your offense, you have to report, period. And picking up the phone, calling your officer, letting them know what the issue is, that should be easy to do. And if there's an issue with you're being homeless, they offer bus passes. And I think those bus passes are monthly. It's not just for one day. I've had clients who've been given bus passes before. And so it's easy to do. You know the process to get that. And then you show up to the office and you to bring your paperwork for the bus pass according to the testimony. This is just where we are. And with the nature of your offense, you're supposed to report. You didn't. There's actually a case for non-reporting where there's now a new case for failure to report. So that's where we are. I just don't think you're a good candidate for probation. So I'm going to grant the motion, revoke. I'll sentence you to 2 years in the prison. give you credit for any time served. And you know you have to register. If you don't register, you're going to be back here again. And at some point in time, guess what? It's going to end up being a habitual, and you don't want that. Did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it? All right, you do have a limited right to appeal, and that right to appeal is as it relates to the allegation in the motion, not the fact that you're on community supervision. We can go off the record. When you're released from prison, if you have problem, find a place to stay. If you have problem with treatment, if you have problem with reporting, if I'm here, you can always come back here, and I would direct you to programs that will help you with bus passes and help you find a place to live. All right, good luck to you. Jesus Prado. All right, court is calling 2020 CR 8296, State of Texas versus Noah Nellam. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Allie Jackson.
Defense?
Lindsay Shaw for Mr. Bunk, for Mr. Nellam.
And are you Mr. Nellam?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Did you review the document entitled Motion to Enter Adjudication of Guilt and Revoke Community Supervision and First Amended Motion to Revoke Community Supervision with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, Your Honor.
And are you the person who's listed as being on deferred adjudication in those motions for a period of 10 years, beginning on October 1st, 2021?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, state.
Yes, Your Honor, we're proceeding on violation of condition number 2, which is on the first amended motion to adjudicate.
Yes.
That on or about the 26th day of February 2024 in Williamson County, Texas, the defendant, Noah Jonathan Nellam, did then and there admit to use of an illegal use of controlled substance, namely THC, in violation of condition number 2.
How do you plead to that, true or not true?
True.
State, do you waive other allegations?
Yes.
Any objections?
No objection.
All right, Mr. Nellam, did you understand by pleading true to violation of condition number 2, the court could find it true, grant the motion, sentence you up to life in prison and up to a $10,000 fine?
Yes, Your Honor.
Knowing that, do you still wish to plead true to violation of condition number 2?
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will find violation of condition number 2 true. Is there a proposed agreement?
There's a proposed agreement, Your Honor. There seems to be an issue with, he was supposed to, it was not a part of his conditions of probation, but he was supposed to be going to like some residential.
In Round Rock?
Yeah, in Round Rock, and it looks like that never really happened.
Okay,
And so he does continue to have issues. So at this point, because he's being supervised out of county, we're trying to work with him, we are, and the probation officer's recommendation is to try ISF cognitive and substance abuse tracks.
okay, so let's go off the record for a moment. On this case, I don't know if ISF cognitive will work. And this is why I'm saying this. I remember this case, and he was going to be at Round Rock, and he was at the Mayafu home. So what has happened with that? Is there a reason he didn't make it to Round Rock? What?
No, he was living in Round Rock. That's where his father lives. So it's my understanding it wasn't an actual, that facility. I'm not very familiar with it, but it wasn't an inpatient situation. He was living with his dad, but he had counselors or people from that program that were trying to help him.
No, I remember distinctly, we actually had a hearing by Zoom. The people from that home were by Zoom, and he was supposed to be living at the Mayafu home. And I did research on it. Everybody did research on it. And I actually have the actual address as 3062 Blantree Bend in Round Rock.
And that's what I understood from reading the notes on JD, Your Honor, but I've been informed that that apparently never happened.
And I know previously we had a violation of condition number 2, and it was denied alternate amendment, and he was to be referred back to that home. So
I think clearly that home was not working for him. I think him being in this inpatient lockdown facility of ISF would better suit my client. I mean, he's here, he stands before the court knowing that he needs
oh,
some
well, here's the
treatment.
thing. I'm not going to revoke, because I know everything
Right.
that we've previously tried to do on this case. I'm just trying to figure out whether ISF is best for him. Usually with ISF cognitive and probation, can you help with me with my understanding of IS cognitive? If you don't have the cognitive skills, they can't make you have the cognitive skills. That's why I think we were putting him at the Mayview House because there are other issues that are going on. So,
Yes, I did, but I don't know, like.
all right, so here's the thing. We've got to find a place for him. And I do know that with the Mayview home, they were not going to put him in a situation because he's young, where he's with extremely older people. So they were putting him in the in-between group with people who are in their 20s. So did we get a report from them?
We did not. And they didn't file anything of like, none of the stuff from the MTR had like mentioned them.
All right, let's do this. Are y'all available to come back this afternoon?
Yes, Judge.
Any objection to the court reaching out to the Mayview House and seeing if we can get them to zoom in so we can find appropriate placement for him?
Not at all, Judge.
All right, we'll come back in the afternoon.
Thank you, Judge.
Sure. Court is calling 2023 CR 1202, State of Texas versus Clayton DiMatteo Russell. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Jason Garahan, Your Honor.
Defense?
Michael Bellama.
Are you Mr. Russell?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you the same Clayton DiMatteo Russell who was placed on deferred adjudication in 2023 CR 1202 for the offense of possession of a controlled substance, penalty group 1 to 4 grams on May 1st, 2023 for a period of 4 years? Is that you?
Sure.
State?
Yes, Your Honor. Violating condition number 4, in Bear County, Texas, Lieutenant Clayton Demetrio Russell did in the mayor failed to report to the supervision officer as directed for the months of February and March of 2024, a violation condition number 4.
How do you plead to that? True or not true?
We'll waive any violating conditions.
Any objections?
Objection.
Did you understand by pleading true to violation of condition number 4, the court could find it true, grant the motion, find you guilty, and sentence you up to 10 years in prison and up to a $10,000 fine?
Your Honor.
Knowing that, do you still wish to plead true to violation of condition number 4?
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will find violation of condition number 4 true. Is there a proposed agreement? All right. Is that the proposed agreement, counsel?
I have 1 second.
Counsel, is that the proposed agreement?
It is what's on the table, Your Honor, but my client was wondering if there would be any way you'd be willing to do intensive outpatient.
No,
Okay.
you didn't report.
I lost my place. I told my PO that I was losing my place of residence. And I didn't, lost it. Missed my first appointment. I figured DMT, was already on me.
And so you just decided not to do anything.
No, I looked for a place to stay.
Well, didn't you didn't report for probation though?
That's right.
All right. So can you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Clayton Demetrio Russell.
All right. So have you ever been diagnosed with a mental health issue
Depression recently, at the CDSC.
and anything else?
No, ma'am, they did my evaluation, they got me prescription, I lost my place of residence before my prescription even got there.
All right. So here's what's going to end up happening. I'm going to give you a choice. Sometimes I can give people choices. Sometimes I cannot. I can follow the recommendation for probation, which is what the state has stated to the court, or I can sentence you to prison for 2 years. Which would you prefer? All right. The court will deny the motion, alter and amend conditions to include the following. And this is to happen in custody. And that's the DDRF Genesis program. And we'll do a referral to felony drug court. And if he's not accepted in felony drug court or DDRF, then we'll do residential treatment at SATA, followed by 90 support meetings in 90 days in the UA hotline. Probation, is there anything else he needs? Is there anything else you need from the court to be successful? All right, you have to do better. Good luck to you. You're welcome. We're back on the record in 2023 CR 4941, State of Texas versus Anthony Woodard. Could I have parties announce again, please, for state?
Evan Myers, Your Honor.
Defense?
John Coons to Mr. Woodard.
And you're Mr. Woodard?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
All right, so the court wanted to know about the gang affiliation.
Me and Mr. Coons spoke with Sergeant Rodriguez from our office. The defendant does show to be listed in Tex Gang, Your Honor. That was based on tattoos identified at the Bear County Jail and a denial in 2019 or an admission to being an ex-blood gang member in 2019, Your Honor.
So when he was arrested in 2019 and something, they asked him if he'd been a gang member. He said, I used to be a blood, basically. There's no current membership information as reported to the court earlier. When he's been in TDC, he has not been categorized as a gang member. He has not been segregated in any way as a result of that. And again, sort of as a very telling thing, oftentimes when Anthony comes to court, he's wearing blue. And if he was a blood, he would not be wearing blue in the courthouse. There's no way.
Okay. All right, this is what the court is going to do. Court is going to find you guilty. The court will sentence you to 2 years in the prison, give you credit for any time served, and I'll request the therapeutic community.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
All right, did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and did you sign it?
Yes, you signed it, the waiver of appeal.
I think so, yes, ma'am.
All right, because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question of what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, we can go off the record. Here's the thing, as I was telling everybody before, I don't have a crystal ball, but based upon what I'm looking at in the report and the evidence that I've received, I just don't think that you would be a good candidate. So I know anytime people go to prison, that's a lot of time. I know sometimes people want people to do more time than what I'm sending them to, or less time than what I'm sending them to. But I'll review the case, weigh the case on what I see, and decide on what a sentence should be. When you're released from prison, you're just going to have to go on the straight and narrow, because at some point you're going to be a habitual offender and your minimum will be 25 years in the prison. You understand?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
All right, good luck to you.